Hey, let's catch up with some Spurs news and notes that you may have missed, and then recap the Spurs at the second round of the 2024 NBA draft, and then give our overall grade.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs on Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. TGIF, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day and letting the dust settle after the 2024 NBA draft is over, rounds 1 and 2. We're going to be putting that in the spotlight today. Catch up some Spurs news and notes, likely some draft-related notes that you all should know. And then bring in our guest, Jack Thompson. Yes, he's back, everybody. We're going to recap the Spurs at the second round of the draft, and then give our overall grade, overall thoughts on the Spurs at, well, the 2024 NBA draft rounds 1 and 2. That's coming up in just a few seconds. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app. The list goes on and on. All right, some quick to more in-depth look at the Spurs the second round and, of course, overall grades. Now, everybody knows Spurs got Stephon Castle. Just a quick heads up. He will be wearing number 5 for the Spurs. I believe his Spurs jersey is available already. Yeah, like that. Just go, I think with NBA.com and the store, I believe, and you can get your jersey already. Just some more little fine points about Castle. Did you know that he played for the 2022 FIBA Under-18 America's Championship team? Basically, Team USA won gold medal. There you go. He was also named the Big East Freshman of the Week 11 times and was a member of the 2024 All-NCAA Final Four tournament team. So, yeah, just some quick notes on him just to beef you up on your knowledge moving forward. And by now, y'all know the Spurs in the second round selected Harrison Ingram. Just a quick heads up. Did you know that he's actually from Texas? Yes, he's coming back to Texas, grew up in Dallas, and he will wear number 55 for the Spurs next season. Just a quick heads up, little notes on him. He was named to the third team All-ACC as a junior with North Carolina. And he was named the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year honors and a spot on the Pac-12 All-Freshman team. So you got a couple guys coming into Spurs uniforms that are highly decorated, winners individually and team-wise. So yeah, the Spurs are definitely getting some good, solid people, character-wise too, with that winning mentality coming into next season. In other Spurs news, Wemby, yes, he's been nominated for the Best Breakthrough Athlete, an ESPY award. Yes, he is a first-time nominee up for the ESPY award. Goes without saying, Rookie of the Year, runner-up to the Defensive Player of the Year, all first team, defensive team. He shattered records, led the league, blocks. You get it. You know all the stats already. So kudos to Wemby. Here's the thing. You can vote for Wemby to win that award for Best Breakthrough Athlete, ESPY award, by simply going to at ESPN.com, search ESPYs, and you'll be able to vote for him. And speaking of Wemby, he's already putting on his French uniform, getting ready for the Olympics. He also talked about the Spurs selecting Castle. He basically gave a thumbs up, so he likes the pick. Even he mentioned that he was aware that the team was scouting him for quite some time, that being Castle. So all in all, good moment for the Spurs, especially Wemby. Hopefully he gets the point guard of the rebuild. We'll see. I don't think we're going to talk about that in a future episode of Locked On Spurs. And finally, in other Spurs news, pretty much the 2024 NBA cap space projections after now that the NBA draft is over is out. This is via Keith Smith NBA on X. The Spurs now are the 6th team in the league that have the most cap space, 26.4 million. Number 1, the Pistons with 64.4 million, followed by the 76ers at 61.3 and the Magic 49.5. The Spurs did save some money by moving Dillingham to Minnesota. I know Spurs fans, y'all didn't like the move, most of y'all, but it did save them $7 million, more cap flexibility to chase that big target free agent maybe one day, or that big deal. We'll see what the Spurs do with that cap space. All right, there you have it. Some very quick Spurs news and notes. When we get back, we're going to have Jack Thompson on. We're going to be discussing the second round overall. What do we think about Harrison and Juan Nunees? And then give our overall thoughts and overall grade of the Spurs after the conclusion of the 2024 NBA draft. But first, I want to talk about Game Time. You want to go to gametime.co right now. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. Makes tickets, getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the first pitch. You get killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view for your seat, lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They got it all. They have flash deals, zone deals, the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. Deals, you can save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, concert, comedy, theater, whatever you have need. If you need a ticket, you want to go to Game Time. Those seat views, you get panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy, and the Game Time ticket coverage is covered by the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Don't wait any longer. Go get yourself an account. Download the app. Download Game Time app right now. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
A Jedi uses the Force. To subscribe to Locked On Spurs, pass on what you have learned.
And we cannot wrap up NBA Draft 2024 Day 1 and 2 without bringing back Jack Thompson. Follow him on X at Jack_Thompson33. He is formerly with San Antonio Sports Star. He has been with me on this ride to the NBA Draft 2024, and it is now over. The Spurs, they made their selection. Y'all know who they did. So at number 4 in the first round, the controversial trade with number 8, Dillingham, Minnesota. We'll get to that in a while. And the second round, well, that's what we're here for. We're going to discuss exactly what happened to the Spurs in the second round, picking up a foreign prospect and a guy that Jack was just glowing about. I mean, seriously, before he recorded, he was like, fantastic pick, Jeff. We'll get to that. But first off the bat, Jack, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. Second round is over yesterday, and with their first pick in the second round, they did a deal with Indiana. They basically flipped spots, 35 and 36, no big deal. But in essence, ultimately, the Spurs got themselves Spanish guard Juan Nunees. Your thoughts on the pick?
I mean, we were clamoring for guards, all those that wanted Dillingham. Here's your second guard, Juan Nunees, pro from Spain, plays in Germany. He's 6'4", 6'5" guard, and my God, if you have not seen highlight tapes of this guy, he is electric with the ball in his hand. Mm-hmm. Probably the best pick and roll player in the draft, him and Topic. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's toss up who you want. He's a little bit more mobile than Topic, a little quicker. Mm-hmm. I mean, 6'5", so he's got great positional size. Didn't shoot a lot for his team. He only took about 1-3 a game. And but I mean, his assist to turnover, 3-1 assist to 1 turnover, so that's really good. Yeah, he's a great, floor general. He's a table setter, the kind of guy that I've been clamoring for the whole time. We got him, and he's probably a draft and stash for a year or two. For sure, let him season a little bit in Europe. But hey, the prospect, I like it. I like the take. He's Juan Nunees. I mean, he's gonna be beloved in San Antonio when he puts on that silver and black, because I bet there's 1,000 people in San Antonio named Juan Nunees.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe my neighbor might be named Juan Nunees. I don't know. But looking at some of the numbers, though, you're right. Not a high scorer. 9.4 points per game. You're looking at a true shooting percentage at 52%, an effective field goal percentage shooting at about 50% as well. I'm a little stunned, though. His free throw shooting is down 62%. That he's not very reliable at the free throw line. But you're right. When it comes to running the floor, playing downhill, that's where he is electric. Looking at assists, nearly 5 a game. Turnovers, just 2. Going back to that assist to turnover ratio you're talking about. And his turnover percentage is at 13%. So, you understand, he plays the way he does. He's going to have a lot of high turnovers. Sounds very familiar to another guy from South America, in Argentina. Manu always, he was daring. He was risky. He was willing to take the risky pass. It reflected on the numbers. Now, overall, I mean, when I see Juan Nunees, I think energetic, just hype, passionate. He's coming from the Spanish,
Euro
system,
Cup.
that
Yeah.
pipeline. Yeah, that pipe where we've seen other Spanish players succeed. Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol. So as much as the focus on French invasion, and rightfully so, maybe Nunez can re-stimulate that Spanish pipeline to the NBA. But you mentioned the draft and stash. Do you think that's wise? Let him cook for about a year or two, or should they just bring him now? Let him cook in the G League.
I think I would probably bring him now. I would, let him
Yeah.
come and get accustomed to the Spurs system, get familiar with the team and the staff and all that. Let him come
Mm-hmm.
in the door. And I mean, quite frankly, there are a few guards on the Spurs right now that I'm tired of seeing suit up. So just put him on the roster. Let him come and learn on the fly with the rest of the squad. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a tremendous value at that pick. I think he's going to make the Spurs roster one day, and he's going to be a good component to this team moving forward. I'm excited about Juan Nunees. There's a lot of flash and fun in his game, and he plays the
Yeah.
game with a tremendous joy, and it's really it catches on with the rest of the team, and that's always
Yeah.
someone you need in the locker room. Very excited about that pick.
Yeah, looking at some more of the numbers for Juan Nunez, where does he get his bread and butter when it comes to the offense? At the rim, 56% field goal percentage at the rim in the paint. But then you see a considerable drop off after that. You're looking at about 36%, from inside the three line, 17% just above the arc. When it comes to knocking down threes from the corners, he's okay, 50% or more. But he really is just an attacking guard, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a pick and roll maestro in every sense of the word. He sees and creates lanes, steps before they're even open. He is a wizard with the bounce pass, the over the
Yeah.
shoulder, the behind the head. I mean, you look at his passing repertoire, it's kind of absurd the type of vision that this kid has. And at such a young age, I mean, he's got so much more room and time to develop that I think he can really, really shine in this league if he can get that jump shot down.
Yeah, last season he had a usage rate of about 23%. So, didn't really get that much, I guess, wasn't that much needed for the team. But his ability to facilitate. There we go. I think this is what draws the Spurs who need. And then it's weird. It's like this is so bizarre. It's like we're living in a bizarro world. You draft a big Wemby. They drafted Tim Duncan. They drafted a point guard, young point guard that many probably didn't think it was going to work out. Castle, but they haven't scouted him for a long time, even since high school. Then you get a drafted stash, South American, or in this case, a European, Spanish, Argentinian, and they stash him away for a couple of years and they bring him on. Oh my, are we living in bizarro world here, Jack? That's what it
It's
feels like.
it's wild, man. It's certainly wild. There are a lot of coincidences going on with the
Yeah.
reconstruction of this team as we see it right now.
Yeah, and the good news is that Wimby is on board with the plan.
Hmm.
We know that because we'll get to Stephon Castle in a bit, but he did tell French media that he gave a thumbs up to the pick of Castle. But the second rounder pick, we're gonna get to the next guy in a bit. Um, but I'm looking at Nunez, 20 years old, 6'3". So you factor would he be about 22 at the earliest when he comes to San Antonio? Still not hitting his probably prime years yet, but with the trend of NBA players bringing in teenagers, and it circles back to the whole G League thing and bringing them now. I think it might be a disservice for him if he's there longer than 2 years. I think you have to bring him back,
Yeah.
bring him to San Antonio as soon as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree. I
Yeah.
would ship him out, this summer, get him start working out with the
Yeah.
team, get him accustomed to the city, Austin, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Let him know what's up. Let him know like where he needs to really work on his game, what he
Mm-hmm.
needs to develop in, and just start getting him in the gym with our guys and getting that development going.
Yeah.
I think it would be a disservice to him to continue him to play in Spain and then just
Yeah.
bring him over cut and dry at 22 or what have it. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
2 years missed that he could have been studying the playbook, getting accustomed to everything that comes with being a Spur. So I think, yeah, it's definitely bring him now and let him start cooking up here in SA.
Yeah. No, I can. On the other hand, I can see why the Spurs will draft Stash because as of now, surprised they have a log jam at the point guard, at the guard spot. You got Castle, you have Malachi, you have Blake Wesley, you have Trey Jones, and now you have Juan Nunees. So I can get why maybe they might draft a Stash. Look, he's playing professionally overseas, no knock in the G League, but that could be a reason why the Spurs, if they elect to, we don't know yet if they elect to just keep him overseas rather than bringing him to Austin. So either way, solid pick. I thought the Spurs would get him around their 48 pick, and they went with Harrison Ingram. But yeah, I like the pick.
Yeah,
You
I like
move
it.
forward. Yeah, I think that was good. So what do you give that selection? A plus, A minus? Where you at?
I mean, how do you grade a second round pick this early?
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to say. I mean, I'll give it an A. I like the pick. That's a guy that we need a table setter. We need
Mm-hmm.
a guy who's gonna get Wimby easy buckets, and he looks like he could play alongside Castle in a few
For sure.
years. They both have great positional size, so they're both unselfish players. Both can run the point. So yeah, I like the pick. I think it's a great fit in our system. I mean, we definitely know what to do with Europeans. So
Yep.
yeah, I think it's a great pick for the Spurs. Very reminiscent of the childhood picks that I came up with.
Looking at his hustle stats here 3.5 rebounds per game, 2.8 defensive rebounds, 1.5 steals. So, he gets at it, man. For a guy his size, and his build, he's 20, but he's still a little slight of frame. Get those little hustle, those second chance opportunities for any team, in this case the Spurs, to get any W's that could be on their way soon, hopefully crossing fingers. All right, well, the Spurs were not done in the second round with their final pick in the second round. They went with Harrison Ingram. Now, you lit up in a hurry when I brought it up to you. I go, what do you think about Ingram? You're like, oh my God, phenomenal pick. Why was that a phenomenal, fantastic pick?
Well, to start off, some of Harrison Ingram's background. He's a Texas kid, so that's beautiful already. And McDonald's All American. He's a smart kid. He went to Stanford instead of going to, a traditional blue blood right out the gate. Spent 2 years at Stanford, then he transferred to North Carolina, and we really got to see what his game was about. And he thrived at North Carolina. Every one of his stats jumped up: points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, 3-point percentage, everything bolstered up with the uptick in competition with going to UNC. He's about a 6'7", 6'8" combo forward. He can grab the ball and rebound it, push it as the point guard, initiate the offense. He shot threes at 36% from three this past year in college, so he's got a good shooting stroke. He's 6'8", so you can put him on the block. He can post up. He can play in the mid post, and he's just got an extremely high IQ and versatile player. I mean, if you looked at mock drafts in the past, this guy, he was gonna be a first round pick. I'm surprised he was not taken in the first round this year, frankly. So I think it's a tremendous value to get him all the way at 40 or at 48. And man, I like Harrison Ingram a lot. I've been following his career since he was in high school in Dallas, and I think it's a tremendous value for the Spurs. He's an extremely high IQ, high character guy, gonna come in every day and prove his worth and work hard. And I think there's a spot for him immediately on the roster. I really do think that with what he can bring to the team: shooting, big body, defensive versatility, ball handling, passing. He really, while he's not particularly great at anything, he's a Swiss Army knife that can really affect the game in a lot of ways. And every team needs a guy
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the scouting reports on him. You definitely see a little mix of everything. You see can handle the ball. You
Mm-hmm.
see can shoot it from deep. Basketball IQ. He can do some playmaking. So you see a little bit of everything in him. Strong rebounder. So those are kind of like the words, adjectives that are being used in scouting reports leading up to his pick in the second round. 6'8", 230 pounds. He's a big boy, isn't he?
Yeah, big boy.
Yeah, the big guy. What do you think? You said that he could probably make it to the roster now if it was up to you. But how do you think he will impact the team? Because little by little, the Spurs are building up. And they got some players in the roster that maybe he'll be playing behind. How do you think he would stand out during training camp to push the Spurs to thinking, you know what, maybe we should give him some NBA minutes and not set him to Austin or bury him in the bench.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be fighting for that 3 and 4 spot. And, the guy in front of him, Jeremy, is kind of cut from the same cloth. Multifaceted guy, not
Mm-hmm.
particularly great at everything, anything, but can do a lot of things well and affect the game in a lot of ways. And I mean, in a lot of ways, Harrison Ingram is further along in some aspects than Jeremy. I mean, it's
Interesting.
proof is in the pudding that he can shoot better. He averaged 9 rebounds a game last year, so he's as good a
Mm-hmm.
rebounder as Jeremy is. He can handle the ball like Jeremy can. He's, played some point forward kind of projectile as a player.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's really going to push Jeremy, who might be a little comfortable with his position on the team right now, to really get in the gym and get a lot better because, I mean, Harrison Ingram, he's older than Jeremy. He's played in
Mm-hmm.
college for 2, 3 years. So he's got more experience. He's maybe has a higher basketball IQ because he's seen more basketball at a high
Mm-hmm.
level than Jeremy has. So yeah, I think Harrison Ingram's really going to come in and push the guys who are looking to play that 2 or 3 position to really get on their game because he's going to be nipping at the heels for some minutes.
Yeah, you look at one of the sides of the court that I think he excels is defensively. He averaged last season about 1.5 steals per game with a steal percentage of 2.6. So he definitely was. If he keeps that up, he's going to impress Pop and the coaching staff. One thing I want to ask you is the scouting reports do point to his lack of quickness. Do you think that might hurt him in the NBA?
Might hurt him a little bit, if he's playing the 3, but if he's, running the 4, I I don't see
Mm-hmm.
that affecting him too much. And the greatest thing about, becoming a Spur, if you're not the
Mm-hmm.
quickest guy, is you've got the ultimate eraser 5 steps
Oh
behind
yeah.
you. So
Mm-hmm.
someone gets by you, don't worry, because Wimby's coming to help you out. So I
Oh
think,
yeah.
having Wimby on the back end is really going to negate his
Yeah.
level of, athleticism because a lot of guys, aren't going to want to go to the rim. They're not even
Mm-hmm.
going to be looking to blow by
Mm-mm.
because then you got to face Wimby at the rim, and
Yeah.
that's a whole lot tougher. So yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. During his college days, scouting reports do say that he improved his shooting mechanics every season, so that's good to know. Became kind of a mid-range scorer, shooter. So again, hopefully that'll help him make it to the roster in San Antonio next season, and maybe, like I said, push the Spurs to give him some NBA minutes versus Austin minutes if they go that route. I like the pick. I just think right now they're with Sohan there, and I guess to a certain degree, maybe Mamu there. We'll see what he returns. I think it might be hard for him to carve out some minutes, huh?
It's yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
while he's a great player, good prospect, he's got 2 NBA guys ahead of him that he's going to
yeah,
have to beat out. Now, I don't think it's impossible for him to beat out Mamu. I mean,
right.
Mamu's struggled in his own right to get his own
Mm-hmm.
minutes, so that's definitely a feasible feat for Harrison Ingram. And, in the end, this pick makes me think that maybe Jeremy is not as untouchable as we had,
Hmm.
previously thought he might be, because this
Yeah.
is really a guy that is cut from the same basketball cloth as Jeremy. I mean, same size and build, same type of player. Harrison might be a couple years older, but he already shoots the ball way better. It's interesting for sure. I think Harrison's going to carve out a role on the team. Maybe not a big
Mm-hmm.
role this first year, but I think he gets a roster spot, at least a two-way
Yeah.
for sure. We'll see him in the Spurs
Yeah.
jersey because he's an intriguing prospect. I think he's really gonna shine in the league. I think he can do a lot of things really well and really help the Spurs a lot because he can be the setter for the pick and roll. He can be the ball handler on the pick and roll, and you don't have to worry about his playmaking, pick and pop because he can shoot. He can do a lot of things really well. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the silver and black. It could be exciting times.
Yeah, he definitely is a jack of all trades on that court. For a guy his size to have that playmaking ability that he showed off in college, I think that's going to do wonders for him come training camp. Strong rebounding guy, big guy. His body's already filled out already. You mentioned the times, staying not just a one and done. He stayed about 3 years. So yeah, I think this is a good pick. I agree with you. It was a phenomenal pick. I'm going to assume you're going to give this an A, huh? Big old
Yeah,
A.
I think Harrison Ingram at 48 is definitely an A. I mean, he could have been the first pick of the second round, in my opinion. He could have been a
Wow.
pick in the first round because there were some picks that happened in the late first round where I was thinking, what
Yeah.
are these teams doing?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely give Harrison Ingram an A. If we had drafted Harrison Ingram at 35, I still would have given him an A.
Oh,
I
for
think he's
sure.
a
Yeah.
tremendous value.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we'll see what the Spurs do now that the NBA draft is over, but we're not done with Jack Thompson. We're going to ask him his overall thoughts. We're going to look back at round one, his thoughts on Castle, the trade that got Spurs fans TO'd, and so much more. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. Passion, drive, and patience. That is the winning formula for championships and is also what helps keep your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. You need superchargers, you need roof racks, they got that. Exhaust kits, yep. LED headlights, so much more. Whether it's speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you're guaranteed, your part is basically guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're not going to be burning cash. You're going to be burning rubber. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive. You want to go to ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. And we're back with Jack Thompson. You see him on your screen there. Give him a follow at Jack_Thompson33. Make sure to do that right now. He needs those follows because the more follows he gets, the more Spurs fans he can piss off, as he did yesterday. Jack, what was all that about, man? You wanted smoke in the morning and you got it.
Hey, you know me, man. You want to talk hoops? I ain't afraid to talk hoops, and I'm gonna give you how I feel about the take. And you know, Spurs fans, they do have some rightness to their thinking.
Yeah.
Brian Wright, what has he built yet? Really
Mm-hmm.
nothing. But you look, for example, the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago, they drafted Jaylen Brown. 6 years ago, they
Yeah.
drafted Jason Tatum. 7 years later, they're winning their first championship with two players they picked at number 3. So it's not this what the Spurs are building. We're not looking to shape it into form
Yeah.
overnight. This is a long process, and it
Yeah.
could be drawn out that long until we get our first championship. It could take that long. This is the NBA. Nothing is guaranteed, even when you have the best player. So this is going to be a building process. And yeah, I mean, I think we're about to start being more aggressive, and you're really going to see the type of team we're going to try and build.
Mm-hmm.
But even last year with the Celtics, they were not the team until they got Drew Holiday and
Mm-hmm.
Kristaps Porzingis. Even 1 year prior, they were not this championship level team. So I think Spurs fans are really, jumping the gun on Brian. He's
Yeah.
stacking assets on top of each other. And you do that so that you can trade for big stars but not be left out high and dry if it doesn't work. Ergo,
Right.
the Nets, the Suns, the Lakers. I mean, Brooklyn, or not Brooklyn, Milwaukee this past year. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
fired their coach because they went and got Dame and he didn't work out. Well, that might happen to the Spurs. We might go get a star and it doesn't work out at
Mm-hmm.
first. That's why you got to have more picks so you can have a backup plan. And
Yeah.
Brian is making sure we're getting all of our bases covered before we start wheeling and dealing. And I think that that's genius. I mean, look at the Nuggets, built it from the ground up with
Yeah.
picks and trades, with draft picks. The Oklahoma City Thunder built it from the ground up with drafting and trading assets. This
Mm-hmm.
is exactly the plan that the Spurs are going through, and it's just not going to happen overnight. So, Spurs Twitter, calm down, take a deep breath, be patient, because this process is just beginning. I mean,
Yeah.
last night was literally the first step of the true process. So we've got a long road to go and many more steps to take, and Spurs
Yeah.
fans need to be patient while we do it.
Now you look at Joker in Denver. During the regular season, he said it a couple times. after games saying, well, no, it took us about 6 years to get here. So there's that. And then look at Orlando. Orlando is just now coming out of their rebuild, and
Yes.
now they're becoming a viable threat in the East, and
Yes.
and a destination spot now possibly for top free agents. I mean, I know he's a shell of himself, but Klay Thompson, there's rumblings he could join
Mhm.
Orlando. But I think the Spurs are playing the long game, but I also think that long game begins as soon as next offseason. I think that's when the long game kicks in. And be like, okay, so how many unprotected first round picks do we have? And
Four.
second round picks? And
Four unprotected
four.
of 14 first round picks that we have
Yeah.
until the next over the next 7 seasons.
So, and I think next offseason is when you will see them
Yeah.
really maybe try to swing for the fences and that
Yeah,
deep
definitely. Because
draft.
next
Yeah.
year alone, we have 4 draft picks in the draft. One of them completely unprotected. One of
Hmm.
them top 10 protected, but still could be a lottery pick because, the Bulls are not gonna be very good.
Right.
So we've got everything at our fingertips, and I do agree with Spurs fans about this. I mean, Brian has, he's broken it all down and gathered all the tools and the supplies to build it back up. Now it's just about doing so and finding the right players and building the right team. And I have faith that he can do that. For one, I mean, I like what he's done so far. And I think that, he'll continue to stay on that path of, slow and steady wins the race. But also, it's going to be pretty difficult to mess things up with Wemby in the middle. I mean, we can be
Exactly.
quite honest about that. He's
Hmm.
the ultimate eraser, the ultimate problem solver. So, yeah, I think for a lot of reasons, I think we're in great hands with Brian Wright and his team. And I really think within the next couple seasons, the Spurs team is really going to be right back in the thick of it.
Well, I guess your soapbox moment right now sums up the next question was okay, reacting to the draft day trade with Minnesota and Dillingham. I think you're okay with it based on what you just said. You're okay with acquiring those the two first round picks, 2030, 2031, in their pocket and shipping out Dillingham, or are you not okay with it?
No, I was beyond okay with it. I
Okay.
mean, at 4 or at 8, you know, I was biting my fingernails there because we all wanted Castle at 4. That was
It was
A
like almost
plus.
a given. Yeah.
Yeah, A plus pick. Could not have been better. Maybe the best player in the whole draft. At 8, man, Matas and Klingon are right there at 7
And connect.
and connect. And I was praying that Klingon was going to fall one more pick so we could take him.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, the Trailblazers drafted their 8th center for their roster.
Mhm.
Not really sure what that thinking was about, but so there he is. We're at 8, and it's my guy, Matas Buzelis, top player on the
Yeah.
board, still there. Oh, I was hoping we were going to go get him, but didn't work out. Totally fine. And then I see Rob Dillingham, and I fall to my knees in agony because you know how I feel about Rob Dillingham. I do
Not a fan.
not want him on the Spurs. Great player in his own right, just didn't think that was the kind of guy we needed. And thankfully, a few minutes later, we hear that, we dealt it for the 2 future firsts
Mm.
for Minnesota, opening up $7 million in cap space for us to use this year. We get an unprotected pick and a number 1 protected pick swap for a team that quite frankly, I'm not sure is going to be around in the 2030s.
Right.
I mean, Gobert will be retired. Kyle Anderson will be retired. Mike Conley will be retired. Cat, is he going to stay? Who knows? If all that happens, where's Anthony Edwards going to be? Who knows about that? I mean, that team could be blown up. It just like, we envisioned Atlanta. We knew that
Hmm.
they were a flash in the pan. We got this 2025 pick 4 years out. Everyone was like, what are we doing? Now it's the most valuable pick that you can get because
Yep.
everyone knows Atlanta's about to blow it up. So I think that's what Brian Wright is banking on. And of course, it's all, hypotheticals and what ifs, but either way, it's still 2 more first round picks that you can add to a trade to sweeten the pot. And I'm all about that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, A plus trade, A plus number 4 pick. Fantastic draft for the Spurs.
Yeah. Going back to 8, when they picked Dillingham and he was momentarily a Spur, to me it made sense. You got a defensive guard, now you got an offensive guard. And I thought, okay, in my head, that jives with what they need. They need defense on the perimeter because how many times did we see teams go off on the 3 line? Player pick like Trae Young, you want to have a career night from the 3, you got it. You got the Spurs next. Steph Curry, likewise. So I said, okay, that makes sense, bringing the defense in. I said, okay, they're probably going to go with a 2-headed monster, offense and defense. So, and when they shipped out Dillingham, I said, okay, I really thought Minnesota was going to be sending one of their younger players, and they did it. It's like, okay, what are we doing there? And it came out about the picks. I'm like, oh my goodness. But what it showed me was that this team is not ready to hit the gas pedal yet on the rebuild. They're not there yet. And I think they'll slam on the gas pedal next offseason. But also looking ahead of next season, based on these picks, I think, are they going to win more than 22? We're likely. But again, I think it'll be another missed postseason and another missed play-in spot. Will they have more wins? Of course, Wemby's there. He's going to just get that for you. So here we are. The rebuild continues. And Brian Wright, I was in the media session with him. He was almost salivating, Jack, at the thought of acquiring more picks. He was like, yeah, those are valuable. You want that. He also, again, when he was talking about why they're stockpiling all these picks, it was almost like he was talking like currency. Like it was like, these are just currency, gold bars you carry with you, And so that's where he was at when that was coming. Obviously, at that time, he didn't comment about the trade. He obviously commented since. But man, you know what? Before I give out my grade, I want to go back to Castle real fast. When the Spurs announced Castle, I thought, okay, that's according to plan. No big surprise. But a part of me thinks the other guy they had on their radar was Saloon. And when he went off the board, I think maybe that's when the Spurs said, you know what, we're done with him, right?
Yeah, I really think if Saloon or Klingon may have been there at 8, we would have taken them. And we would have, kept the pick. But yeah, we traded a 6th round, or not a 6th round, the number 8 pick, a guy that we didn't want, for 2 first-round picks and $7 million in salary. That seems like a win for me. And a little hypothetical: 6 years from now, Wemby is what, 26?
Yeah,
really starting to rage in his prime and dominate the NBA. What happens then if Minnesota's blowing it up? We've got the absolute best player in the league. 6 years from now, you would assume that we have built a championship roster.
Sure.
And then if Minnesota blows it up, suddenly we have the chance at a number 1 pick or a top 5 pick to add to what we have already built. It's just Brian Wright is thinking steps ahead of what the game looks like right now, and I commend him for that, for holding steady, building not succumbing to the pressures of having to instantly build around Wemby, but doing it the right way, gathering assets so that when we do make that big trade that's going to cost us probably 5 or 6 first-round picks, we have 8 or 9 left back up to work with.
And going with that train of thought too, if it works out, and if
it's a hopeful hypothetical for sure.
If this big plan works out, then under Wright's regime, his time on the clock, he could probably build a team that can outlast how long the Tim Duncan era lasted. It was decades, nearly 20-something years of 50 or more wins, playoff spots, and whatnot. If he's doing this right, maybe he challenges that record. Wemby, you're in your prime. Guess what? We have the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
guess what? Now we got the next big coming out, and we that'll alleviate more pressure off you. So if you're playing this right, but I'd say this much, Jack, you glowing about Brian Wright right now. More smoke is coming your way. Spurs fans are not happy with Brian Wright. Are you ready for the smoke?
Dude, I will never dodge the smoke. I tweeted that out for a reason. I want the smoke. Bring it to me.
You heard it there.
Yeah.
You see his handle right there on the screen, everybody.
Jack _Thompson 33. At me.
He's calling. He's drawing a line in the sand. Everybody, who's going to cross it? We'll
At
find
me.
out. But going back to Castle, yeah, I think that was a phenomenal pick. Good,
Oh
solid
yeah.
pick.
I truly think he's the best player in the draft. I really
Yeah,
do. Like
yeah,
shades of Jimmy Butler,
mm-hmm,
shades of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
yeah,
Just a lot going on in his game and just a dog mentality too that you
yeah.
can't teach. And yeah, I'm more than ecstatic about Castle joining the Spurs.
Yeah, now, do I have my concerns? Yes. The shooting, yes, but I think he was just on a stacked team.
I
You know,
also don't think
UConn,
like he was really asked to shoot. I mean, they
right?
had
Yeah,
three
because it was
phenomenal
stacked.
shooters
It
on
was a
that
stacked
team.
team. Yeah,
Yeah. He didn't have to force
yeah,
threes. He took
mm-hmm,
literally what the offense gave to him and read it according to that. Made the
mm-hmm,
play, scored it, dished it, what have you.
yeah.
He read what he had to do and he thrived in it, and there's absolutely something to be said for that.
Yeah, he listed at 6'6". You know, the Spurs finally get their big guard. Here we go again, see if it works. And I think it will work. But the big question, Jack, and we're going to table this. I'll give you some time to think about that. Is Castle the answer to the point guard spot in the rebuild? So think about that. We'll bring you back on soon. But you look at Castle. Let me put it this way. I had a chance to talk with Brian right after the first round. But he was going on and on about the X's and O's, the stats. He plays the pick and roll, this that. And when I had a chance to ask him, I said, okay, well, put aside shooting mechanics, put aside how he works on the court. What do you like about him as a character? And Brian Wright told me that he cheers for his other teammates even when he's not involved. He knows his role and is willing to sacrifice his numbers, everything for the betterment of the team. And he said that's what he thinks, and this is what Brian Wright tells me. He thinks why Castle is going to be a perfect fit for this roster and be a good fit in the locker room. And let's not forget about this too. Castle has some experience playing alongside a over 7'1" big guy. So he's going to understand like how we're going to give the ball to a guy that's 7 foot or taller, in this case, Wemby. Do you think he'll be able to adapt to Wemby's style quicker, considering the Spurs last season took almost more than half a season to finally get used to Wemby?
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to adapt to it. Like you said, playing alongside Donovan Clingan, he's going to know how to run the pick and roll and throw a lob out of it, where to throw an entry
Yeah.
pass above the defense so that your taller center can grab it, where to hit him with a bounce pass and win. I mean, he's learned how to do all that over the course of the past year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, there's going to be a learning curve for him in the NBA. There's no doubt about that. He'll have his highs and he'll have his lows. That's just going to happen. But I fully expect, through the normal Spurs way, we'll see him and Trey, sharing a lot of the point guard spot to begin the season, maybe with some Blake thrown in. And then after the deadline and the All-Star break, I think that's when Castle really takes the reins and he really starts, running the show.
Absolutely. All right. Overall, I think I'm going to give my Spurs grade a C. I'm going to give it a C.
See?
I know. Well, you know what? I forgot. No, I'm not factoring the second round. I'm sorry. I was thinking about the first round only. This 2-day split threw me off. I'm not used to this. Yeah, it threw me off completely. Okay, so overall, I'll give it a good B. I give it a B. I like the picks in the second round. Nunees, draft to stash. I think he'll come out to be a great playmaker down the road. Ingram, I agree with you. I think he could possibly push some of these guys at training camp and make this Spurs coaching staff think twice about maybe not giving a minute. Castle, solid pick. Was to bring it down from a B plus or an A is that Dillingham trade with Minnesota. It stings a bit, knowing that they're still looking future forward, and that's what I'm thinking about right now. Like, because all I can think of is, oh, guys, you got more than enough to make noise now. Why do you need to get more to make noise later? So I'll hold off on that. It's going to hurt, though, if Dillingham just shows out in Minnesota. God, him and Ant together will be a nice little 1-2 punch if Rob does develop into that offensive guard we think he can be. But all in all, I'm going to give it a B. I think the Spurs had a good draft, first round and second round collectively. Now we'll see if it pans out. See if it pans out, Jack. The draft is over, Jack. Can you breathe easy now?
No,
You
It's
can't?
it's probably worse now. Now I have every scenario rolling through my head about what the Spurs can do, who we should trade for, who's going to be blowing their team up in the future, all this type of stuff. Trying to match salaries, all that has
Yeah.
just been coursing through my veins all day. So, no, I cannot breathe easier, and I probably will not be for quite a while. But
Yeah.
that's just me. I'm obsessed with the game, and it's truly all I really ever think about. So,
See, Jack's really just upset that the Spurs didn't pick Bronny James in the second round. I think you're just really upset with that.
no, didn't you see? If we would have picked him, Rich Paul would have shipped him off to Australia.
By the way, I have an issue with that. I have an issue with that.
That's terrible, dude.
That's not a good look on him and then his agency. Just to hold teams hostage like that, pretty much hold them under the gun, the guillotine
That's
style.
terrible,
Like,
man.
I mean, you shouldn't have that type of
No.
force on these teams. Just let them be. Hey, if it's all about just getting your client into the league and doing the best for him, then hey, if Golden State picked him or Spurs or Denver took him, be happy. But regardless, it is what it is. It's Lakers' problem now. We'll see how they handle it. Yep. Remember, Jack, you said you wanted the smoke. The smoke might be coming towards you. Make sure to follow him.
Thompson 33 at me.
I can say better myself. You know how to get him. You want to give him some smoke right now. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about the second round picks? And then overall, first and second rounds, what would your grade be? Jack told you how to get a hold of him. Make sure to give him the smoke. I want to see it. I want to have some fun with that. And you can also follow me on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Ken's Vibe Plus app, YouTube, obviously. So much more. We'll be back next week. Locked On Spurs. Still talking silver and black. I'm trying to get Locked On Huskies to come on.
Oh, nice.
So I'm trying to arrange that. So maybe it might happen early next week, but we'll see. Either way, we'll have a new episode for you coming this Monday. So for Jack Thompson, I should say Jack wants the smoke Thompson.
Yep.
I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.